Hello and welcome back to Factorio C Block. In our last episode, we were fiddling with some of the new petrochem stuff, making all these chemicals, and some time has passed, some processing has been done. They have torn through pretty much all that crude, and we are having a bit of trouble, though, maintaining power. And so we talked about, well, what do we want to do about that going forward? And we could build... Yeah, a little bit of trouble. We could build another one of these to expand power by this amount, whatever this amount was. I guess, well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times 2. That's 20 steam generators, which is 20 times 1.8, which is 36 megawatts. We could expand it by 36 megawatts, but if we go back to, oh gosh, where the heck was it? I don't remember where this was. This power, how much power were you consuming to make this much power? Is it this one? It might be this one. In which case, we're consuming 14.2 megawatts to make 30 whatever. So it's not really all that good. I mean, we did have some extra fuel coming out of it, but it's still not really all that good. But we've learned about some new stuff since we built that. We learned about things like fuel oil and the fact that how much fuel oil here can power 3 of these steam engines, which is a little bit better. And it's all made from these vegetables, of which we have a bazillion seeds. We just need the inputs of the various types of water, whichever type of water that needs to be, and then of course the various types of soil, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so we have a possibility there of turning these seeds and plants into power. So I've done some work. What I've done is I've said, okay, how much of the power can we make for a sort of stable amount or an even amount of systems? And so I was looking at this thing here, and this consumes 5.4 megawatts of fuel, and the fuel oil has a 1 megajoule, so 1 megajoule per second, or one item, if you're using 1 item per second, that's 1 megajoule per second, which means that this will consume 5.4 units of fuel oil per second. And so if you kind of do the math on 5.4, and you look at that in conjunction with how much is produced by this gas refinery, which let's just grab one and bring it over here. I have some made. Gas refinery here, this one. If you look at how much is produced by this, it produces 60 fuel oil in a times 1.5 every 4 seconds. So that's 90 every 4 seconds, which means that it produces 90 divided by 4, which is 22 and a half. Yeah, 22 and a half. So if you look at a least common multiple of 5.4 and 22 and a half, you end up with exactly 6 of these machines, which is 225 fuel oil being produced per second. No, that's not right. Strike that, reverse it. I just screwed myself over. No, it's not. It's 6 times 22 and a half, which is 135. That's this number here. And that needs 225 nutrient pulp, which we'll take a look at in a moment. And then that number, 6 of these, producing 135 divided by 5.4 is 25. That's 25 of these fluid burning boilers, which means 75 of these, of course. So you kind of think about that for a moment, and you realize that's a really creepy ratio. So 6 of these, making enough fuel for 25 and 75 of the boiler and the steam engine, respectively, which is kind of good. It's a good enough ratio for me. So I started looking at, well, what plant can I use to make 225 nutrient pumps? So these are all separate, distinct builds here. That's why they're unlinked. They're all making 225, which is why there's a ridiculous surplus in this plan. But ignore the total plan and just look at this is what we're gonna consume that nutrient pulp with, or how. And then this is how we're going to produce, these are some options for producing the nutrient pulp. And I've given myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 options, which correspond to the 8 of the 9. Why only 8? Oh, because one of them doesn't produce stuff that we can use for this. 8 of the 9 plants that produce the nutrient pulp that we can use here. I can't remember what the deal is. No, I lied again. 2 of them overlap in such a way that we can't use it, or I didn't want to use it. I think it might have been this one, actually. Let's just take a look. So first off, we have let's just go down the line here. We have beans made from binafran, and beans made from binafran, in order to make enough, you would need 45 machines broken down like this. And I'm not going to go through each one of these in detail because it'll get overwhelming and easy to forget. The next one is beans, also made from zombie eucalyptus. That needs just a couple of fewer machines, broken down a little bit differently. So more of the or fewer of the farms by far, but more of the last one there on the list, which is the washers. And then you look at something like corn made from wheaten, and that requires 118 machines. And also look at the power too. I mean, the power here is crazy different. 50 machines to make corn from, no, that was wheaten, sorry. 50 machines to make corn from prime Dedalian, and that uses a bit closer to these numbers here. And so on down the line, 93 machines for the next one, which is nuts and leaves combined from, that's why, yes, nuts and leaves combined from sunscress. And then the next one is leaves, and you have a byproduct of cellulose fiber from Okinarimone, and then you have nuts from Elendilimone, and then you have finally pips from Nilobrigine. And you can kind of look down the list and see, like, that one's horrible. That one's just horrible. 249, 27 megawatts. That's really bad. So that one kind of got thrown out right away. The other thing that I've thrown out right away is the ones that have the additional seed, the dormant seeds that we have to then process, because those are some of the higher of the set. Actually, there might be all but one of them is the highest 3 rather. So I threw those 3 out anyway because of that. Also, the byproducts really bothered me because then I got to deal with them. And if I don't deal with them, then the whole system stops. And I didn't want to have to do that either. So I was looking at, okay, well, what can I do? What might I be able to do to combine 2 of these into something, or could I combine 2 of these into something that would produce a balanced amount of byproducts, basically equaling 0, at least on the solid side, and something that I can easily sink on the input side, or on the liquid side, and then maybe it uses a minimum number of machines, relatively speaking, and maybe it uses a minimum amount of water and mud, just to make sure that we don't have an excessive amount. Use the minimum amount of power, because if we're producing power, we want to use the least amount of power possible. And so I looked at the first 2 here. Both of them are making beans. Both of them are making beans from 2 different plants, one from binafran and one from zombie eucalyptus. And I wondered to myself, can I combine these 2 to make one combined plant factory, not plant as in these are plants, but plant as in factory, that would reduce the amount of mud that's being produced to 0. I would like to have no mud being produced by this, and that I can sink if there's any saline water combining these 2. And so they still would yield a combined total of 225 of the nutrient pulp. We would still process it like this, and so on. And so I did that. I came up with this plan here. It still produces 225 nutrient pulp. It produces effectively 0 mud. It produces some saline, which we have to sink. It produces, of course, hydrogen sulfide, which we either have to sink or use to make sulfur. For the immediate purposes, we're going to sink it, but we could tie it into our sulfur process later. And then, of course, the water inputs, which is 207 and 165. And if you compare that to these 2 numbers, it's basically halfway between, which is which you would kind of expect, except that I did something a little bit different. Instead of making it exactly half and half in terms of the amount of beans that were produced by each of these, because I think if you look at these, this one produces 14 and that one produces 14 because it's how many beans you need. But that doesn't mean that you have to produce exactly 7 point whatever it is there. So instead what I've done is I've adjusted it. I'm producing more of the beans from the zombie calyptus than I am from the beans from binafran because of the amount of farms and bioprocessors and seed extractors that it takes to produce these things. So this uses exactly 2, just shy of 10, and then a tiny bit of a seed extractor, of course. And this uses just a little more than 2, 8.5 almost, or a little more, and then a tiny fraction of this, but it makes it a little bit more balanced in terms of the mud output because I'm able to consume all of that mud as part of or to produce all the mud that I need, rather, with just having some excessive saline here and not having too much mud or too little mud in the result, based on how much of everything else is getting used here. So if you kind of look at this, each of these are 13 plants plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. This is 50 plants, 50 factories, 50 buildings. Comparing that to the inside of this one, each of these, which is 45 and 43, and the difference here is actually, there's a reason why there's a difference, and I don't remember what it is. Oh, I do remember what it is. I lied. It's not 50. It is not 50 at all. It's actually this, and this. I said that as the default as well. It's not 50. These are still 13 because these didn't change, but it's actually 44, which is these exactly the average between these two. I forgot to change this. I was playing with it with Mark 1s, and then I looked at it Mark 2s, and then I didn't change it back. So it's the exact average of these two, just like everything else is kind of the average of those two, which is kind of fun. And then you end up with 13 and 13, and then 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 6 of these. And it works out really well, and I like this combination. And so we need to build this, and instead of spending time building it here on camera, I'm going to place down a blueprint that I designed in my test game, and we're just going to see the result of all of this, and then we can talk through it. So let's and I have some of the machines up there because they need to be out of the way for a second. So I have a blueprint here. This will place. Let's see. I want to place it. Be careful. I thought that you could place the mud extractors, the seafloor dredge pumps here, in the middle, like you can place the water pumps in anywhere in the middle, but you can't. So I have to put those on the edge, at least to place them. Later on, you can place them, or you can landfill around them, but you have to at least place them properly. So I thought about coming just kind of down here someplace, and I think that'll work just fine. I'm actually going to pull it all the way down to the bottom of what I've landfilled here, and right there exactly. And we'll just go and put this down. And I'm going to give the bots the ability to start building this. And so what I've done here is, and this won't work until we seed it with some seeds from the other thing, but what I've done here is I've done a few things. Of course, there's the 2 sets of washing plants for the 5 stages there that produce the mud, as well as the perpetually cleaner water or stepwise cleaner water as they go through, and then they output sometimes they'll output the water to their system up here. We have the heavy mud water, whatever it is, getting output into the Sonscrest. Let's see. Heavy mud water getting output here into, or zombie calyptus rather, and there's 9 of those, as we looked at. It was like 8.59 or something, so 9 of those. And then we have the saline getting output here into the binafran, and then the saline is also getting output. No, that's water. Not saline, but the one before that, the thin mud water, is getting output here to make sand. To both of these, and the sand is obviously getting used here to limit or to feed into this as its solid input, and then obviously seeds, just like this one's solid input is mud, and the mud of course is coming from down here. You guys are still building, good, that's fine. And I've done something a little different with the water. I originally had a underflow, a top-off valve here, top-up valve, and it just didn't seem to work right. Like the slishing, swashing of the water was causing this to overfill this pipe, and the feedback from the fluid, from the water, from the gas refineries was actually getting stuck. So what I've done here instead is I've logistically tied it to this tank, and I think I've limited it to 5K, which is like 20 or 25%. And there's already 5.6K in there, as you can see, because it went a little haywire. But it's okay. I just want to keep it low because I want to make sure that I have plenty of room for the other stuff to flow in here. We have a little bit more to place there, and then we have a lot more to place because of the all of this stuff is in that box up there. Let's tie this into the rest of the base, just like that. That's fine. And then we'll come up here and grab this box. Now, the funny thing about this is that these columns of steam engines and boilers consume one full pipe of water each. I don't know why I put the extra pipe here, but whatever. Consume one full pipe of water each, which is kind of another interesting thing. And that's because each of these consumes 90 water. And if you count these up, there's 24. No, there's 12. Plus, there's an extra one here for one of them. So these consume 90 times 12, which is well, whatever that is, 1,080. And then one of these is tied into one side, so that's actually consuming 90 more than that, which is 1,170, which is just shy of a pump full of water. And then this down here, this consumes 207. So it wasn't quite enough to get by with just two pipes, so I had to do a third pipe, which is unfortunate, or a third pump rather, which is unfortunate, but it works. And you can see this is chugging away, making mud, making sand, but we still don't have seeds. We need to go retrieve some seeds from this. We needed zombie and bina, and let's go grab those. So zombies over here, and I'm just gonna grab, I don't know, maybe half of these seeds. There should be plenty. And then we'll also grab this one, binafran. Nope, this side, half of these seeds. And again, that should be plenty to get us started. Actually, it's more than enough to get us started. You didn't build the 6th one of these. Why not? Still, maybe I only made 5? It's possible that I only made 5. Hopefully I have enough stuff to make one more gas refinery. Yeah, there we go. All right, that's fine. Easily enough fixed. We're not using them right now anyway. And then I have a couple more things to show you and talk about. You may have already noticed, but that I haven't talked about yet. So we'll do... Actually, I think I can just do Shift-C. There you go. Except you guys put all of them in one. Doggone it. And of course, this is costing us a crap ton of power to get started. Which is unfortunate in a way, but also, I mean, it is what it is. And so what these are doing is obviously outputting all the plants, all the seeds. Those go from, do they come from here? Do they get put in there? They must have. They must have. Okay, that's fine. So the process here is the mud comes in and it gets put onto the bottom half of this belt on both sides, both directions. And then the seeds are coming out of the seed processor here. I'm forcing the plants into the seed processor first, and then any surplus goes into these up here. And then those are going onto the near side, the top side of these belts, and coming down into these manufacturers, or these farms here. And then once this all gets kind of backed up and we don't need the seeds on these lines anymore, which is going to get there really fast, then these will start coming up here into these. These are turning the zombie calyptus into beans, and then the beans are coming down here. Now, if you do the math on these three, or what beans, rather, are coming out of the zombie line, it is 8.1, which is slightly more than a 7.5 items per second gray belt. So we have 8.1 there. On the other side, we have 5.9, almost 6, basically 6. But if you add those together, you have just over 14 total beans, and that's the number here. So what I've done is I have a faster belt here, a faster splitter here because of the faster belt, and then I'm going into 2 slower belts to even these things out. And that seems to work out just fine. I've been running it on my test game for a while now. And you can see, by the way, this is chugging right along 5K, which is kind of nice. So these are running over here too, although they're stuck because they don't have enough sand, but the sand will come as it can, and it'll just kind of fill this all in. So these are making the 6 basically over here in those 2 machines, and that's also, so I have 3 on this side, 2 on this side, because of the production imbalance between the 2 plants. So then this is turning the beans into nutrient pulp, which is exactly the same process as we did here, and then we're turning that nutrient pulp into fuel oil and water here, just like we did over there as well. And then technically we don't need this anymore, but I'm not going to take it down because who cares. But this will run now. You can see it's kicking out some power now, or kicking out some steam now, I should say, at least. And it's not backed up, but it's chugging along here, producing as much as it can. And now we have 180 something power, and you can see it's not quite getting all the fuel that it needs. That's just because we're still spinning up a bit. If I hadn't placed these right away, I probably would have been better off, but that's all right. It works out fine. So we are getting 75 times 1.8 from this, or we will be able to get 75 times 1.8, which is 135 megajoules. Coincidentally, maybe, or I guess not, because that should be what we get, because this is worth, and there's no loss, this is worth 135. This is 135 units time, which is 1 megajoule per unit, and there's no loss in any of this process anymore. So that makes sense that we're making 135 megajoules of power, which is which adds to the 40 something, almost 50, I think, that we had before. So now we're up to 184, which is really, really nice. And so that is a little bit cheaper of a process. So we're spending 7 megawatts to make 135, whereas before we were spending, now I've forgotten where it was. It's this one. We're spending 14.2 to make 36, was it? I think it was 36. Yeah, 36 megawatts. So this is way, way more efficient. And space-wise, is it similar? Maybe. It's differently shaped, of course. Oh, it's way smaller, actually. If you compare all of what this thing is here, like this overlaid, it's basically just more than half. I could almost fit 2 of them in probably like 1.5 of these. I could fit 2 of them in like 1.5 of those. So that's pretty good. The efficiency is really good. If this is interesting, if you're playing along with C-Block on your own, and this is something interesting to you, let me know, either in the comments or on Discord, and I'm willing to share my blueprint with you if you'd like to have it. Or, I mean, you're welcome to copy it or come up with a similar idea of your own. But I thought combining 2 plants would work out well, and it looks like it has. It was complicated to set up and to get everything connected up properly, of course, but in the end, I think it's going to work out really well, giving us a lot better production here of both the 2 products overall. At least I think. I mean, it looks like it might be having some trouble producing everything we need, but it looks like... Wait, why are you not producing as much muddy water? There's too much mud. Is there too much mud just because we kicked off that way and it's just not balanced itself out yet? That could be. I definitely didn't have this problem with the mud before. Did I have mud in my pocket that I shift seed into those? Maybe. I might have. I don't think so, but I might have. And then the other option is, of course, that maybe we just need to reset the mud a little bit, like clean it out of here and let it kind of get back in action. Or, like I said, it might just balance itself out in a little bit of time. It seemed to be balanced when I was running it in my test game, but I probably built it a little bit differently, and maybe it came out a little bit differently in the end. So, let me know your thoughts, comments, suggestions, questions, all those things in the comments section, or come to Discord, Chill Gaming Friends Discord. You can find that link in the description below, and we can talk about C-Block there, as well as anything else, game related or not. And then finally, next time we will return to Petrochem and work on the steam cracking. technology that we talked about at the end of the last episode. I have unlocked it, so we're ready to go with that, and we can make some of those products and then see what comes next after steam cracking. So thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.